All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Close. It is Wednesday, January 8th, 3:46 p.m. And we've got a very interesting close as we end off Wednesday for this week. We don't have the markets open tomorrow. We do have the markets open on Friday. And this day was very interesting. I said this in the beginning of the market open. The reason today was going to be interesting was because yesterday we went red. We went not very red, but we went red enough to make it hurt in people's portfolios. Today, and I know it's only 8 days into January, into the new year, but today's test was going to be, well, okay, so far, every time we've gotten really red, at least, 2 to 3% down, dip ends up getting bought. And so far, the trend of 2025, as you look at the S&P 500, which is green, baby, it looks like the dip is getting bought. It really does every single time. Now, there's a lot of nuance to this. Maybe we have a lot of more troubles next week with CPI, non-farm payroll numbers coming out this Friday. All these uncertainties that we have to deal with, Trump getting sworn in. But nonetheless, so far in January, every time we have any meaningful dip and people, would like to get a bigger dip so that they can actually get a real deal in the market, which is what we were talking about on the market open, that there's not actually any deals. The market decides to say, you know what, we're not going down any further. I mean, take a look at Tesla. Tesla's at 397. It's green. It's freaking green. Tesla is green. Tesla had max pain of like 386 today, stayed there for a couple of seconds, then came right back up to 397. Maybe we close at 400. We got about 12 minutes left. But the point is, the markets don't want to give in yet and have this like epic collapse of 10 or 15%, even if it's a short collapse, because market participants keep coming in and buying the dip. United Airlines is green. That's up 2%. S&P 500, again, slightly green, but it is indeed green. SoFi down 2%. That's okay. I'll take that on SoFi. Not the worst thing in the world. Meta down 1.42%. Not that big of a deal. AMD down 4.5%. But again, AMD is trying to find its bottom. That's not too crazy. DraftKings is up. Roku's up. Nike's down 1%. Roblox is up 1%. Dow Jones is actually up on the day. NASDAQ down slightly. Google down slightly, about 1%. Apple basically flat. Nvidia is also now below 140, but it was green for the majority of the day. It looks like as we get into the close, it's just below 140. The point is, even with a rising 10-year, even with the JOLTS data that was not that bullish, if you think about inflation, still the market finds a way to get this dip to get bought. And I think we're going to have to see over the next few weeks with all the other data that we have coming up if that trend continues. Now, let's get into Fed minutes. That's kind of the big story that we have to talk about. It's honestly not that big of a story, though, because it's kind of a nothing burger. There's nothing we saw in the Fed minutes that's that different from what we were expecting to get in terms of what the market really wanted to hear from this summary. So this is the December 2024 meeting of the Fed minutes. Here are some of the key highlights. A 25 basis point rate cut was broadly supported, with the majority favoring a cautious approach to further easing. Many participants suggested that a variety of factors underline the need for careful approach to monetary policy, basically saying being data dependent, which is fine. Some participants noted that it might be prudent to pause rate cuts if inflation readings remain above target or economic momentum persists. Again, data dependent. A few officials highlighted potential scenarios to accelerate cuts if inflation tends lower or labor market softens more than expected, meaning if the data is bad, they will cut further. And then many emphasized the importance of carefully assessing the neutral rate and moving gradually to avoid policy missteps. So they really didn't say anything other than, hey, they supported a rate cut. They believe that the labor market is probably cooling off a little bit, that inflation hopefully is coming down. They're going to be dependent on the data to see how much inflation is coming down. And if inflation continues to come down, if the JOLTS data, the unemployment rate, shows some weakness in the market, non-farm payrolls on Friday shows some weakness. This morning, we got ADP payrolls. That came in at 120,000. Market wanted 140,000. So 20,000 less than expected technically is good for inflation. It means we have less jobs, less people spending money. That is the Fed signaling, hey, if we see more of that data, we're going to cut these rates. And so that's what we got. That's kind of the main headline of the day, Fed FOMC meetings. This was supposed to be the real market mover earlier today. And at 2 p.m., it was nothing burger. Nothing happened. The only thing I saw happen basically 20 minutes ago was Tesla go officially green. Palantir, even Palantir recovered a bit. It was at 66.51. Now it's at 68.28. Like even Palantir is not giving the real dip that people wanted. S&P's at 589. It was at 585 this morning. And then Hood, which is supposed to be a proxy on the market, and the market, if it's red, Hood really shouldn't be that green. Hood is green as well because I guess investors are coming to the conclusion that Robinhood will perform, given this market is not going to have that much volatility, or it will have volatility, but that volatility is not going to be immediately to the downside. I mean, basically, we're seeing swings 1 to 2% up and down, but there's not a 10% down, which would just cause people to buy the dip or people to ferociously sell their equities. And there's not a massive 10% up, which would cause hundreds of billions of dollars to come into the equity markets because people would be chasing. You're kind of just getting a flat market that like has a lot of fun in the morning, kind of recovers towards the end of the day, then it dips after hours, then the next morning it recovers, then it dips in the middle of the day, then it recovers after hours. I mean, it's a game of musical chairs right now, and this market is really not letting up in one direction or the other. SMCI right here down 5%, Carvana's down a little bit, APLD's down 7%, Boeing's up a little bit, ARM's up a little bit, Reddit's basically flat, Broadcom's up 0.5%. There's just no crazy moves in terms of some of the big equities that are currently out there. Now, let's look at quantum, because this was actually one of the big sectors that was moving today. Not a major recovery, but a little recovery. So quantum computing was down 50%. Now it's down 42%. Rigetti was, I think, down 49%. Now it's down 45%. IONQ was down 46%. Now it's down 39%. And then D-Wave was down, I believe, 47%. Now it's down 37%. So, I mean, yeah, there's it's just like quantum names still badly got destroyed today for Jensen's comments, but nonetheless, you know, they're getting a slight recovery and some people are buying the dip. Let me know in the chat if you bought the dip on the quantum names, if you sold any puts on the quantum names. There are, you know, definitely people that did engage in buying the dip, and there's also people that you have the CEO of D-Wave, who is one of the quantum execs on CNBC. So I've never heard from this guy before. Let's listen to what he has to say, and you guys can give me your first thoughts on him as well, because I'm sure some of you guys have not heard of him before or seen him talk.
Tell us what exactly Jensen Huang, the leading authority on the future of computing, is getting wrong here.
So, Deirdre, thanks for the opportunity to be here. I very much appreciate it. I think that Jensen Huang is a very smart individual, and he's built an amazing company. And he may be the authority on many aspects of computing, but certainly not all aspects of computing, and certainly not quantum computing. In this case, he's dead wrong. And the reason he's wrong is that we at D-Wave are commercial today. We have companies like MasterCard or NTT Docomo or Pattison Food Group or Ford Otosan that are using our quantum computers today in production to benefit their business operations. Not 30 years from now, not 20 years from now, not 15 years from now, but right now, today. And moreover, we have been able to solve problems on our quantum computer in the area of materials simulation in minutes that it would take well over millions of years to solve on the fastest supercomputers, which, by the way, happen to be massively parallel GPU computers. So Jensen should think a little bit about that. We are solving those problems in minutes today, and it would take millions of years to solve them on massively parallel systems that he provides. And
what's your guys' first reaction? You like him? Can you trust him? What do you think? This is the first time I'm seeing him ever. He reminds me of the My Pillow guy. That's the CEO he reminds me of. But again, I don't really know much about the quantum industry. But what are your first reactions to hearing him talk?
And by the way,
Alan,
I'd be happy to meet with Jensen anytime, any place to help fill in these gaps for him.
Alan, I got the opportunity to get to know D-Wave a little better over the last month or so, and your approach is very different than what Jensen Huang is talking about. It's limited to optimization problems, and you don't play in the same field as Jensen and NVIDIA and Google and IBM. Is that correct?
No. So when you say we're limited to optimization, that's not an accurate statement. We are very good at solving optimization problems. And frankly, optimization represents most of the important hard problems that businesses need to solve. And so we're proud of the fact that our quantum computers excel in that area. But that's not the only area where we play. We play in material simulation, we play in quantum cryptography and cybersecurity. We play in a broad set of areas. But you are right. We have taken a different approach to quantum from everybody else in the industry, and that is what has allowed us to become commercial today.
What you just described, Alan, sounds like what generative AI promises to do: optimization, simulations, etc. If D-Wave is offering better optimization and tools, then why aren't you valued like an AI company? Why is your revenue, bookings, and profitability contracting in the latest quarter?
So first of all, with respect to bookings and revenue, all I will say is that our business is actually growing quite nicely, and I am very much looking forward to sharing our Q4 and fiscal 24.
Was there an exception then? I mean, Q3 revenue was down 27% in your latest quarterly report. What happened?
As I said, Deirdre, I am really looking forward to sharing our Q4 and fiscal 24 financial and operating results when we report earnings. So, just stay tuned. Now, that having been said,
he better crush Q4, bro. If his response is, I'm looking forward to reporting, Q4 better be good.
AI and quantum are not competitive to one another. Yes, there are some areas where you might be able to use both systems. I talked about material simulation, but we are so far ahead of what massively parallel GPUs can do in the material simulation area that I don't even view that as competitive. When it comes to optimization, there are attempts to use GPUs to solve optimization problems. It's not necessarily their sweet spot, and that is also an area where I think D-Wave's quantum computers excel. And that.
All right, so there you go. 83% of you said no, you do not trust him. 17% of you said yes. The funniest thing I heard today, all right, and again, I know nothing about quantum. I don't have a position. I don't really care if you invest in quantum or not. We're just analyzing what's happening in the market. The funniest thing I heard today was if quantum computers can create a parallel universe, and someone was like, all the bag holders can go to the different universe to go see their green. Like, that part was the funniest thing I've heard today. If you're bag holding a quantum stock, go to a different parallel universe, and in that universe, maybe your stock is green. That was it. That was my takeaway from today. It was funny. It was really, really funny. Nonetheless, look, the sector still got smoked today. Maybe the dip gets bought, maybe not. We're going to see over the next coming weeks. This is the first test for this sector that's gone up basically 20x over the past 3 months, if they can survive a little bit of Jensen volatility, because that's the only reason outside of the valuations. You kind of just needed something to create the volatility, and it ended up being Jensen saying that he's not as bullish on quantum. So I think over the next couple of days, we're going to see, or definitely over the next couple of weeks, we're going to see if this momentum can continue in quantum or if this has more downside to go. But if you're bullish on quantum, I mean, you kind of have to buy this dip. And if you're not bullish on quantum, or you're just like afraid of some of these risk assets, you can stay on the sidelines. You don't have to be in every single industry. You don't have to be in the parallel universes of quantum. You can kind of just wait and see how this ends up playing out. All right, folks, here we go. We're getting into the market close, 4 p.m. We got a bunch of other stuff to talk about. I think Tom Lee's going to be on CNBC as well, so we'll get his thoughts. The market is now closed. All right, here we go. Let's see what we got to end out Wednesday, January 8th. Remember, tomorrow the markets are not open, but Thursday they will be open again. Mag 7, Apple ended green by 20 bips. Microsoft ended green by 50 bips. Meta ended down 1.16%. Google down about 0.5%. Amazon basically flat. Nvidia basically flat, 140.1. And then Tesla basically flat, but still green. I mean, this is not a dippy day. This is not. All the Mag 7 being down 0.03% are not dips. There's no way to slice it. Those are not dips today. Maybe they were a little bit more dippy in the morning, but they ended pretty nicely as we end up the day. Semiconductors, AMD was down about 4.3%. Again, NVIDIA was flat. SMCI was down 5%. Intel was down 0.5%. On Semiconductor was down 7%. Not sure what took that one down, but that one was down. Broadcom was up 30 bips. ASML was down 1.8%. TSM was down 2%. Dell was down 1.6%. And then Micron was down 2.45%. Micron went all the way to 106 after the Jensen pump. Now Micron back below that $100 range. Crypto, Robinhood ends green, $40.81. Pretty damn incredible. Like, pretty damn incredible momentum for Robinhood. They did unveil a 2% Roth IRA match, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. But essentially, if you have $1 million in your Roth IRA, you can bring it over to Robinhood and get a free $20,000 to keep it on the platform. So they are allowing that until April 30th, which is definitely bullet for assets under custody. Coinbase was down about 1.63%. CleanSpark was down 6%. Marathon was down 4%. Bitcoin was down 2.3%, just under 94,000. MicroStrategy was down 2.85%. That's another reason I really like Robinhood. On a day where Bitcoin's down and everything's volatile that's attached to Bitcoin, Robinhood that is attached to Bitcoin ends up going green because there's more to Robinhood than just crypto. So that is nice for Hood and some of the other crypto names. What else do we have? Spec plays. So we made a new spec kind of portfolio here on this watch list. Soundhound down 16%, Archer down 6%, Big Bear down 16%, Faraday Future down 3%, MSTR down 3%, GameStop down 1%, AMC down 3%, Oklo down 12%, Kohler down 15%, QUBT down 43%, Rigetti down 45%, IONQ down 40%, and then BTS D-Wave down 36% on the day. There you go. So we do have some green. We do have some red. In general, the S&P 500 ends out at 589.47 after hours up again. It's one of those days where even with the rising 10-year, even with unemployment data was not the best, even with ISM data that also was relatively bearish in the context of inflation, people stepped in and they bought the dip, even though there wasn't really a dip, but money came off the sidelines. Also, it could just be algorithms, coming in to make it seem like people are stepping in when they're not. I guess we'll find out over the next couple of weeks, but that is what we had today as we wrap up this market. Tomorrow is not Thursday. Today's Tuesday. No, today's Wednesday. Sorry, tomorrow is Thursday, but the market's closed tomorrow. So Friday, we're open, but the market is still closed tomorrow in observance of Jimmy Carter's passing. So we are indeed closed tomorrow. Bring back the real bell. This is a fake bell on fake bricks is not the same. Dude, I'm trying to figure it out. The best I think we can do is a soundboard, because at the end of the day, there's like no mic that's going to get through StreamYard's filter. The problem is StreamYard's also the only best platform for streaming. Like, I've tried OBS. It absolutely sucks. The delay is horrible. Streamlabs is horrible as well. Restream is not good. StreamYard is actually the only good one, but they're suppressing our bell, which is not good, because we need to continue having this bell. Are you streaming tomorrow? Yes, I will stream something tomorrow. I still don't know what it is. We're going to have some stream in the day, and we'll figure out what to talk about, even if the market is closed. It does suck that the market's closed, but nonetheless, that tends to happen every time a president passes. So that means the market will be open Friday, but we are closed tomorrow. Now, eBay was up 9% today. That was another big mover, and that's likely because of the partnership they had with Meta today, which is good. Square was down about 1%. Again, S&P 500 went green. Nvidia slightly down, and then you had Amazon right here up about 0.01%. Big Billy, thanks for the $5 super chat. We will try to figure out this bootleg bell thing hopefully soon. All right, let me finish up the Quantum CEO. He has about a minute left on this interview. We'll finish this up, and then we'll head to Tom Lee and see what his thoughts are on this market as well.
That's why we are working with companies today to support their business operations.
Okay, and Alan, just to be really clear, though, you're saying that D-Wave does play in the same space that Jensen is talking about. I know that there's different approaches to quantum computing, annealing versus the gate model. I don't want to get into that, but you're saying that Jensen Huang has it all wrong.
What I'm saying is that Jensen Huang does not understand what you just said, which is that there are different approaches to quantum. Annealing and gate are the two primary approaches. And while his comments may not be totally off base for gate model quantum computers, they are 100% off base for annealing quantum computers. And he
walked it back a little. From dead wrong to not totally correct. You walked it back a little bit.
Hold on. When it comes to D-Wave and annealing quantum computing, it's dead wrong. We are not 30 years out. We are not 20 years out. We are not 15 years out. We are today. We are supporting businesses today with quantum compute to solve their hard problems. So in that sense, he is dead wrong. There are approaches to quantum computing that it will take longer to mature.
Okay, Alan, I think there's a lot of nuance in here, but we really appreciate you taking the time to come on and respond to those comments. Thanks very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Alan at
Appreciate your time.
Kelly?
Okay, there you go. Now it's up to the market to see if they believe this guy and if they care about his argument here. Alan Baratz is his name. Is this guy on X? Let me see if he has any following or if he posts content or anything. Alan Baratz. Yeah, basically he posted this 3 minutes ago. 3 minutes ago. Here's what he had to say. Jensen Huang has a misunderstanding of quantum. While he might be right about other quantum companies, he is dead wrong about D-Wave. There is more than one approach to building a quantum computer. D-Wave took a different approach, which has allowed us to become commercial today. Today, more than 100 organizations use D-Wave's quantum technologies. There is a massive potential for AI and quantum to work together. We explore the opportunity to partner with companies like NVIDIA and explore what's possible with quantum computers and GPUs coming together. He's also calling his comments a string of misinformation. Wow. Dude. He's straight up saying Jensen's lying here around the concept of quantum computing. So the question now is either the market believes Alan Baratz over Jensen Huang and buys his stock, and it's a phenomenal opportunity to buy the dip, or the market thinks that Alan Baratz has no idea what he's talking about, Jensen's right, and this guy has a lot more pain coming his way in terms of the stock. I guess over the next few months, we're going to figure out. Let me check the insider selling on D-Wave as well, just to get an understanding of, is this guy selling or is he kind of holding on? So no, there hasn't been too much selling. I mean, that's a bullish sign. There hasn't been too much selling. There's a public pension fund that was investing and they've been selling, but he hasn't sold. It looks like at least not until 2024. Michael Emil, another director, has been selling on this one. Let me check IONQ. Let me check that one. Has there been, let's take a look at all these quantum names in terms of insider selling. Not crazy amounts of selling here either. And I know there's a lot of red, but they're spread out over the past couple months. Nothing too crazy there. By the way, I have some updates for why Palantir is down. We'll talk about that in a second as well. And then let's look at the last one, QBTS, right? QBTS, Finwiz. Let's look at them. Oh no, that's D-Wave. QUBT is what I'm looking for. QUBT. Okay, this one, quantum computing. That's the name of this one. No, there's not too much insider selling either. I don't see any insider selling there. All right, so look, I mean, the stocks don't seem from a bird's eye view of having a ton of insider selling, which is good. That means this is not, it doesn't feel like a classic pump and dump. It's really a debate on, do you believe Jensen or do you believe the quantum guys? I mean, that's what it seems like it's kind of hedging on here when it comes to this opportunity. Okay, Palantir. So let's take a look at that real quick because we do have some updates actually on why Palantir is facing some of this volatility. Apparently, there's some insider selling happening on Palantir, $45 million worth of it. And that is why we are also seeing some weakness in Palantir here right now. So let's get an update on this, and then we'll keep going from there.
Best performing stocks in the S&P last year so far, and of course it's very early in the year though. Different story. Seema Modi's been tracking that action. Seema.
David and Carl, we've been pulling data from SEC filings, which does show that the Palantir stock underperformance has coincided with a bit of insider selling, all pre-planned, but worth noting around $45 million so far this year. Separately, investor Kathy Wood sold about $15 million worth of stock. Morgan Stanley earlier this week pointing to those valuation concerns, even with the recent unwind, we would point out shares are trading at around 148 times forward earnings. That's among the highest in the IGV software ETF. Others trading at higher multiples than their peers include CrowdStrike, Datadog, and SentinelOne. While investors are no doubt bullish on software playing a critical role in the build-out of AI, revenues for the sector are expected to decelerate this year. Mizuho analysts see 2024 revenue growth decelerating to 15% versus the 22% growth we saw in 2024. They're forecasting the pace of sales growth to drop to 13% in 2025. What's really driving this, guys? Competition, stronger dollar, and what some analysts call a more moderate view on the return on investment of AI, which is something we talk about a lot for the semiconductor industry. Software has now underperformed 9 of the last 10 trading days, and Bank of America traders there say clients are still actively looking to put money back in.
And we talked about that this morning, that IGV, the software ETF, actually has been underperforming over the past month versus versus the semis. Now, the sale they're talking about in terms of insider selling, that 45 million, this is where they got it from. So $36 million of stock, 483,000 shares was sold from Ryan Taylor, who's the chief revenue officer of Palantir. This happened a couple of days ago, so I don't really know if this is the reason for the 10% decline we saw over the past couple of days. I think really that decline is led from people just deciding they want to take some profits, and also the macro having a lot of uncertainties and people saying, let me just lock in some gains and wait till CPI, Trump's inaugurated, all that stuff. So, I mean, yeah, you could kind of blame it on insider selling a little bit, but I really don't think it's insider selling. I think it's more so people just taking profits in a world in which they're a little afraid that those profits might leave, given the uncertainties we have in the macro. All right, Tom Lee on CNBC. Let's get his thoughts on market action and going forward in 2025.
Level since April earlier today. But our next guest says the rise in yields could be a false flag. Let's bring in FundStrat Head of Research and FundStrat Capital CIO, Tom Lee. He's also a CNBC contributor. Tom, good to see you. Okay, so let's start there with the yield impact. What might people be reading wrong, you think?
Well, I wouldn't say markets are necessarily reading it wrong, but I would say as uncomfortable as we are seeing yields at near one-year highs, I don't think that this is going to be the level we see a few months from now. And I think that's more important because ultimately, if yields begin to fall because inflation pressures are easing, or if the job market is a bit softer than expected, it really puts the Fed back in focus. So I guess what I would just say is it's not comfortable to be here at where yields are. I don't think it really breaks markets, but I don't think yields are necessarily moving higher over the next few months.
Well, it's particularly uncomfortable, arguably, for small caps. Early last year, probably around this time, you made a bold call on how much small caps could rise. You've moderated from that since. But where do you see small caps going now? Why didn't the big pop that you projected for 24 pan out?
Yeah, small caps have been disappointing. I mean, unfortunately, I think there's been a rug pull on those names a few times. So I think investors are going to be very wary. But to us, I think the roadmap for 2025 is still one where the opportunity for stocks to have much better breadth widens, because not only do we have an incoming administration that is pro-business, and I think it is going to boost CEO confidence. It's pretty evident now, even seeing it in both ISM readings recently. But that's going to be a better environment for mergers. So to me, while small caps have been big laggards, actually for the last 10 years, this 10-year underperformance to the S&P is the worst in actually almost 100 years. So the second only to 1998. And then from a valuation perspective, small caps are still much more attractively valued. The median PE is around 11 times, and that's almost 7.7 turns cheaper than the S&P. So it's been tough, John, to be overweight small caps, but I think they're going to work in 2025.
Okay. I do want to get your thoughts on some of the riskier assets or the riskier parts of the market that, or I'll use the word maybe potentially more speculative. Case in point, the quantum computing stocks, they had a huge move higher. Jensen Huang from NVIDIA comes out yesterday, makes comments saying that,
Okay, this is going to be important. Let's see if Tom Lee gives us any bullishness or bearishness on quantum.
That supercomputers are still, and the full, I guess, realization of supercomputers is still decades away, and you see all the stocks tumble. I know there's one that you like in your granny shots here. I believe it's IonQ. Just want to get your thoughts on what we've seen in some of these parts of the market and how to think about investing, if you should be investing in some of these more speculative or futuristic frontier tech-like companies.
I think investors do need to put a long-term lens on a lot of these important mega themes. I think quantum computing is in the earliest days. I don't think anyone can judge really whether it's 15 years away or 15 months. And I think people have made many mistakes over the past 20 years looking at things like social media and underestimating the adoption rates there, or internet, or even AI now. I mean, just think about 2 years ago, how many people were saying AI was going to actually take far longer than expected. That being said, I do think the environment for stocks hasn't been great for the last 3 weeks. I think it's really gotten people into a recency bias, thinking, look, we've neared a top, or that stocks are just awful now. I think we're getting close to the point where you should be betting really and leaning heavily against that. I mean, even look at AI sentiment, it's almost back to negative. But Morgan, regarding quantum specifically, it is a pretty innovative technology. I think these are going to be high volatile names. And so until we get back to risk on, they are going to be tougher names to own, but I don't think that means you have to sit them out in 2025.
Okay. How about Bitcoin? Trading just below 100K.
Bitcoin's another name that I think, or another asset class that we really want investors to have a longer term lens. This is something that needs to be 2
Tom,
to 5.
stay right
maybe.
there. We have some breaking news. We'll come right back to you. Stay with us. We have some news on Disney, and Julia Borston has the details.
This better be good to stop Tom Lee. This better be really good.
Julia.
That's right, Morgan. Disney is here at CES announcing that for the first time, announcing the number of its ad-supported streaming users, 157 million.
There's no way. There's no way. There's no freaking way they stopped Tom Lee for talking about the number of users on Disney? Like, what producer thought that was a good decision? Like, I'm not crazy, right, guys? Like, there's no way that's the breaking news to stop Tom Lee.
And that's how many people stream ad-supported content monthly across Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, streaming for 10 seconds or more. Now, Disney is also rolling out new digital ad tools. Disney Compass is a new tool to aggregate first-party data to analyze ad effectiveness to help with decision-making, and a new...
This is a regular Disney update. There's no... This is I'm not going crazy, right? This can't be breaking news.
Standard for advertising in live sports and entertainment, plus some new tools to buy ads in live sports. Take a listen.
So you're hearing a lot this year about advertising.
Who is this? What the fuck? Rita Farrow? Who is this? President of Global Advertising at Disney? How could this not be a segment? Okay, because we're behind, I'm going to just fast forward from this because I do not want to hear this. Okay, we're back to Tom Lee. That is wild, bro.
Is free and ad-supported, has 97 million monthly active users. Morgan and John?
All right. Julia Borston, thank you. Tom Lee, we're going to go back to you. I just cut you off as you were answering me on Bitcoin. Still love to get your thoughts on that. Not to mention, we've had a pretty busy week, John, with some of the media companies, specifically Disney.
Yeah. On Bitcoin, we're still very optimistic about the long term, and we see Bitcoin reaching 250,000 this year. But in the short term, our technical strategist, Mark Newton, actually has talked about Bitcoin being extended. So he thinks in the near term, we could be testing something around 70,000, even 62,000 near term for Bitcoin. But that would be a buying opportunity in our view.
Wow. Okay. That would be a bit down from here. So quite a buying opportunity, I imagine you think it would be. Tom Lee, thank you from Fundstrat. Well, more breaking news.
Dude, his answer on Bitcoin took like less than 30 seconds, and they stopped him to talk about Disney having more users. That was weird, bro. That was very... I feel like they did that just to keep people hooked on the television, but when Tom Lee talks, everyone's listening anyway, so I don't think you need to do that stuff. But nonetheless, Tom Lee's basic argument there is that yes, volatility is there, yields are going to come down, which I think we all agree yields are going to come down. But these damn small caps, put in the chat right now if you have any exposure to small caps, like actual exposure to small caps, either through the Russell, maybe you have some individual small caps that you own, but like this is the sector that is not really taken off. It's struggled to take off. In a recession, it's going to go down the drain. If we don't have a recession, but the Mag 7 don't take a pullback, it still maybe doesn't go down the drain, but it stays stagnant. But this is the question on, can this one finally take off? I kind of don't count Rocket Lab, SoFi, or Grab as small caps, even though they are small caps. I'm thinking more of like that part of the market, because these are really good individual names, in my opinion, that have a lot of momentum and excitement around them. They're not like the general market of small caps, because when I hear these analysts come out and say, sell your large caps, get exposure to small caps, they're not saying pick individual names. They're saying, hey, get into this sector because this sector is taking off. Like get into the semi sector, get into the software sector, etc. So that's more of how I think of it. I think of IWM and TNA, and then obviously there's a lot of individual names that are out there. But I don't know. I think SoFi can do very well this year, even if it's a small cap, and IWM could be flat. Same thing with Grab. I think Grab is correlated to IWM. Same thing with Rocket Lab. I think Rocket Lab is in a league of its own outside of IWM. But this is the sector that has not really taken off over the past really 5 months at this point. Enovix, yeah. How did Enovix do today? They had a big deal yesterday, which helped them. Enovix down 14%. Wow. They lost everything that they got yesterday. It's the problem with small caps, dude. You get a good deal, market's excited, and then the day after, the 10-year goes to 4.7, and then the market's like, well, we don't really want to stay in something that's speculative. That is the problem with small caps. They are so speculative, unless they are like actual businesses like Rocket Lab, SoFi, Grab, etc., that they're the first things to get sold after crypto when there's any little bit of volatility. It looks like that's what we saw in Enovix right here today. There's a quantum panel at CES tomorrow. They're definitely going to talk about Jensen's comments. I didn't know that. If we can get the video, I would love to play that video. I'll try to see if I can find the quantum panel. Yeah, dude. I mean, quantum being in the news, I think is definitely getting everyone interested in quantum, whether you like it or don't like it or you care about it or not. But I definitely do think more and more people are interested in what the hell's going on with quantum and if there is a market opportunity or if it's just smoke and mirrors currently right now. So we'll try to see if we can get the footage from the CES panel. Okay, we do have two other updates. Let me pull this up right here. We have Costco numbers and then we have Jeffrey earnings. So let's look at that back to back. We have Costco December numbers and Jeffrey earnings. I forgot we had earnings today for Jeffries. So we'll dive into that. But let's get into that right here.
Okay, there. You won't want to miss that, John.
Yeah, huge tragedy unfolding there. Contestant
was up 34.4%. But you have to keep in mind, last month in November, you had Thanksgiving, Cyber Monday, as well as Black Friday that were all pushed out into December. So it added an extra 15 percentage points to that e-commerce number. So it was up 34.4%. But you have to keep in mind they got an extra week of all of that holiday spending. Back over to you guys.
All right, Christina Partsinevelos, thank you. Jeffries
Thanks.
earnings are out, and Kate Rooney has those numbers. Kate.
Hey, Morgan. Yeah, so these are the Q4 numbers for Jeffries. The bank, first of all, increasing its dividend to 40 cents. That's about a 14% increase from the...
Wow. Financials start off hot. 14% increase in the divvy. That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
Prior dividend rate. We are not going to compare the estimates due to pretty thin coverage of the stock. Only a couple analysts cover this name. EPS, though, coming in at 91 cents. That was on bottom line revenue of $1.96 billion. They cite strong investment banking revenue up 73% for the quarter. Record quarter in advisory for Jeffries, up 91%. Equity strong, up 49%. And then solid performance in fixed income. That was up about 15%, guys. This is the first of the banks to report earnings. And often a bellwether for Goldman, Morgan Stanley, and the rest that we're going to get next week and see shares moving around a bit here after hours, but pretty much flat on the news, guys. Back to you.
All right, Kate Rooney, thank you. If you think the action in equities is...
All right, that's actually really good, guys. Jeffrey's starting off strong. Costco, first of all, Costco numbers were good. Let's take a look at Costco stock real quick. Probably not going to move the stock because the stock is up a decent amount from last year. Oh, no. Well, it is moving. Wow, up 2%. Costco doesn't move that easily. So Costco sales are up 7% year over year. E-commerce was up 4%, which is really good at Costco's scale. So that one actually moving after hours up 2%. And then Jeffrey starts off the earnings bonanza that we are going to be having in the next few weeks with increasing their divvy and beating on the top and the bottom line. Our fourth quarter net revenues of $1.96 billion are 63, or EPS is 63% higher and 214% higher from the prior quarter. Net revenues of $7 billion in 2024, pre-tax earnings from continuing operations of $1.01 billion. We are laser focused on our core mission of building and being the best full-service global investment banking and capital markets firm, and are very excited about our progress. This makes sense. Equities revenue is up, asset management fees are up, advisory fees are up. That makes sense. If people are investing, they're going to be paying more for advice. And so it looks like the banks are starting off Q4 of 2024 strong. And if Bank of America, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, SoFi, et cetera, these banks can follow that up, it looks like financials can begin 2025 in a pretty good spot. Not too bad. That's what we got. with Jeffries. Not to, I forgot they had earnings today. I didn't think any companies had earnings this week. I forgot Jeffries did have earnings today. Are we finally going to get a split with Costco? You know, I think if there was any quarter to announce it, it would be Q4. Them and Netflix. I think it'd make even Meta, dude. I wouldn't mind. Like Eli Lilly, Meta, Costco, Netflix, and then ASML. I think, and Mercado Libre, obviously, because it's time for them to split. Those are my candidates to get us a split, and I think people would enjoy it if we can, get those for like $100, $90 a share. Obviously, it doesn't change the value of those shares, but still would create a lot more activity. Now, are we going to get it? I don't know. I mean, they haven't split it for a long time, so we're going to have to see if they do it. Meta's probably not going to do it, even though I think if Meta goes from 600 to 100, wouldn't be the worst idea for them as well. How much is Dana White getting to be on the board of Meta? So I believe board members in general are compensated from $300,000 to $500,000 per year to be a board member, which to Meta is literally less than a couple pennies to have someone like Dana White on their board of directors. But yeah, he's gonna get probably $500,000 for being on the board of directors. I actually studied what it means to be board of directors a couple months ago because I was looking into the lifestyle of what it entails. And you meet 4 times a year, and usually it's in person. If you can't make it in person, it's not that big of a deal. And you talk for 2 hours 4 times a year, and basically the CEO asks you some questions, gets your insight, and then when they need to have a really important vote, you're supposed to basically be on the side of the CEO and vote the way that they want you to vote. And that's it. And then you go from there. And that's what it takes to be someone on the board of directors. And board of directors don't always have to be super they don't have to be like the ex-CEO of Home Depot or something. If you look at Palantir's board of directors, I did not apply to be on the board of directors of Palantir, as Bayray says. They've got a lot of interesting people on it, but they've also got a journalist on it. I mean, is she still on this? She's still on it. I think so. They have a journalist on it. And so again, you don't have to be like a billionaire to be on the board of directors. You just have to be someone who understands the values of the companies, can offer any type of significance in terms of how they think of you as a person, as your thoughts on the actual concept of what the company entails. And most importantly, they kind of just want you to vote in the right direction, because you have to legally have a board seat or a vote on important issues. And if you vote with management, then they're happy to do that. So yeah, being on the board of directors doesn't. I mean, Dana White is not some tech CEO, but he's on the board of directors because of his influence with the UFC. You're supposed to bring unique insights in the direction, correct, of the business, correct. That's the idea. It's on the board of his local nail salon. Yes, exactly. You could also just bring the cool factor. That is also true. You could also just bring the cool factor as well. Okay, so she wasn't a journalist. She used to be a consultant at Accenture. So I feel like there used to be a journalist. Maybe she's not on the board of directors anymore, but I remember there was because I was researching this a couple of years ago, and there was another girl who was on the board of directors, but Lauren Statt was a consultant at Accenture for 15 years. Not a tech CEO, nothing too crazy, and she's on the board of directors. So you don't have to be the biggest name out there to get on the board of directors. I'm not on the Grindr board of directors. I'm curious who's on the board of directors for Grindr though. Dude, we haven't checked Grindr in a while. How is that stock? Are we still at 17, 18, or are we below? This goes to show how much I care about it. It's not even on my watch list, dude. Wow, why are we up 5% after hours? Why is every time we talk about it, the stock is up? I swear, I don't plan this stuff. I don't you can see it's barely on our watch list every day. It's oh no, now it went away. Damn it. How did that go away that quick, bro? Why is Weeble messing with my emotions? Back to 17. Well, it is showing some weakness. We haven't seen 16 in a while. We saw 1688 a little bit earlier today, back at 17. So Grindr's definitely been a bit weak right here. We were at 1850 at one point on Christmas Eve. Now back at $17. They don't have earnings. No, they have earnings in February. All these companies have earnings in February. So, dude, I think they're going to crush earnings. There's no reason Grindr's going to have a bad earnings. I mean, from what I've studied about the company, they've accelerated revenue growth, EBITDA margins are up, they're profitable. Like they're going to have a monster earnings. The question is just going to be if their earnings is enough to justify this valuation, which I think is expensive, but I'm in it since 14. I'm going to stay in the name. But I do think their earnings are going to be okay. S&P at 589 after hours. Novix is down a quarter. Square's down 1% on the day. And then Google is down 0.5%. Let's call Steve. I told him I would call him. I don't know if he will still be free, given he might have some meetings, but let's give him a call. I'm sure he's going to be very happy today about Palantir. Let's see if he picks up. It is on the R&D side of Grindr. Oh my gosh. No, he's definitely in a meeting right now. Oh, he said 5 minutes. All right, we'll get him in 5 minutes. We'll get him in 5 minutes. Jensen made comments like Grindr is only 1 year away, dude. You guys better be ready for Steve to start bragging about Palantir. He's gonna be so happy this thing is down. Look, I mean, I'm not happy or sad. To me, it's just like, hey, we know the stock was extended at 80. It probably needed a breather. It's taking a breather right now. The question is, how bad does the breather become? Does it go all the way into the 40s? Do we oscillate in the 50s and 60s? Do we dip right back up into the 70s, fill the gap? Like, I have no idea. At this point, earnings is going to really determine a lot of that right now. I can give you the answer right here. We don't need to do a poll on that. Steve did not buy back his covered calls. There's no way. I doubt he bought back his. Steve's going to get greedy now. He's going to get greedy. Like one of my friends yesterday was like, oh, I have this covered call, but do you think I should roll it backwards because the Palantir is going to go down? And I'm like, dude, like it's Palantir. Like you just went through a lot of green on Palantir. Maybe you get a lot of red, but wouldn't it suck if you rolled back your covered call that you're doing well on to try to get some more premium and then Palantir just blast through your strike and then you have to sell your shares or be stuck in the same quagmire that you're in right now? So I would, I don't know. I wouldn't trust it even if we're seeing the red to be like, oh, well, Palantir is definitely tanking now. But Steve's definitely going to say that. I mean, Steve probably thinks this is going back to $40 right now. He's definitely not going to buy back his calls. Not here. Yeah, Q4 earnings is gonna matter. Do you think Q4 quarters of Palantir will be solid? I think the earnings are going to be good. I think they're going to grow more than 30%. The problem is this SARS issue on their EPS. That thing is still a point of confusion for most people. And although I think it's not a big deal, and we've covered it on Palantir Weekly a lot about what that expense is going to look like, the question is going to be, will the algorithms get mad if Palantir misses on EPS? Will Palantir be able to communicate to the market why they missed on EPS based on this whole SARS thing? And will the market even care if they see really good earnings growth? So I don't even know if there's a play to make on earnings, bro. Unless the stock really takes a crap before earnings, I don't know if there is a play. I think this is one you wait and see, because like if this SARS thing wasn't an issue, I think it would be a like amazing quarter, which I still think it's going to be because Q4 tends to be good for Palantir. But they were over $70 legally. People had to sell shares at a certain amount of time in the company. That is an expense the company has to recognize. And the question is, how bad of an expense is that? Now, it's a $120 million expense. However, we did some digging into time vesting SARS versus market vesting SARS. And maybe the full 120 million is not recognized immediately because there's other people that just joined the company that don't have the shares to sell, which means the expense is not that big. So no one knows, like really no one knows. But in about 2 months, we're going to find out how the market's interpreting where Palantir is going to navigate this SARS issue. Yeah, stock appreciation rights. Basically, if the stock was over $50, a bunch of employees got a ton of shares and they have the ability to sell it, which is an expense that the company has to recognize. All right, we're calling Steve and let's get him onto the show.
Hello, Matt. How are you?
Steve, you're on the market close. How are you?
I didn't know that you could be on the market close since I'm not physically on it.
Well,
technically, I'm on my chair.
Steve, this is why people love you and hate you at the same time. This is like only you could come up with a.
I mean, technically, I am on my chair. I'm sitting on my chair, so I can't be on the market close if I'm sitting on my chair.
That is fair. Guys, is the audio good? Let me know in the chat if the audio is okay. Audio should be okay. If it's not, let me know and I'll switch up the audio. Okay, so Steve, first of all, thank you for being in the show instead of on the show. We got a lot to talk about. I think we got to start off with our good friend. You know what I'm talking about?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm talking about Palantir down 20% over the past month. What are your thoughts on this one?
Maybe Steve's not crazy.
Dude, see, I told everybody, I was like, guys, he's going to start bragging. He's going to take his stupid victory lap.
Bragging. I'm just saying, maybe Steve's not crazy.
Well, I think if your first comment is maybe I'm not crazy, that's taking a little bit of a victory lap. So I just want to say I'm right.
What have I always said? I do not want people to lose money. Have I not always said that?
Steve, you want to get your covered calls out of the money. That's what you want. Okay, you don't give a shit about other people. You don't care about anyone else's life. You care about your own.
I don't want anybody to lose money. I have continuously said I think Palantir is overvalued. And I cannot believe it got to where it is. That is what I've continuously said.
So here's a question that I already know the answer to, because so someone asked in the chat, they were like, do you think Steve bought back his covered calls yet or not? And I was like, there's no way in hell.
0% chance. 0% chance.
And the reason is probably because you think it's going back to 50, right?
Yep.
Dude.
I think this is what's going to happen, in my opinion. I think that you're going to get a scenario where there's going to be downgrades after Q4 and this is going to retrace because they're going to make something where the growth doesn't justify the valuation. You're sort of Morgan Stanley take a stab at it. You're going to see other companies take a stab at it.
Okay, so here's my counter argument. Here is my counter argument, guys. For the people that are saying you can't hear him, it's like one or two comments, but the far majority of you can. So if everyone can't hear him, let me know. But I'm hearing it on my end as well, and he sounds good. So if it's a you thing, maybe just refresh and it should be better. Here's my thing, Steve. What if you're wrong? What if this is bottoming? And what if this is a perfect opportunity to get out of the covered calls and save some money? What would you?
It's going to cost me a lot of freaking money if that is the case.
But it's going to cost you less money than it would at $80.
Well, it depends how you look at things. Right now, if I was to buy back my calls, it would cost me less money. But I'm rolling the dice thinking it's going to continue to go lower. And if I am incorrect and it goes higher, I'm back to it is going to cost me a lot of money to, how do I say, unscrew my portfolio with that position.
Now, you did say we were going to 150. Do you still believe in that?
I mean, we could be going to 500. What do I know? What do I know? We could be going to 500. All I know is Kathy's selling, so I don't know if that's bullish or not.
That's true. She is selling. That's true.
She is selling. I mean, she's selling. Morgan Stanley's coming out with a $60 price target, which is still high in my opinion. But I don't know what we got to say.
All right, let me get your opinion on another sector. And for those that are bullish on the sector, please don't get mad because Steve has some opinions of his own and he's going to voice.
Oh, God, you're going to ask me about quantum computing?
Steve's going to voice his opinion. Quantum stocks were down 50% across the board. What is your reaction?
I haven't looked. I've been super busy. I haven't looked at anything. You just say quantum is down?
Quantum stocks were down 50% across the board because your boy Jensen at CES says that he thinks the technology is 20 years away.
Got news for everybody. Maybe Steve was right. And here's why. Not that I don't believe in quantum computing, because I do, and it's the next iteration of computing. But once again, and this is how I think everybody needs to think of things. And it's fine if you want to make a bet or play on something, saying I am worth losing. I am okay losing this amount of money because this is a bet. This is like betting on the Yankees. It's either going to work or it's not. This isn't an investment. It's a short-term bet. But if you're not willing to do that, I got news for everybody. Why would you even consider anything other than Alphabet or IBM and quantum? No other company, unless Amazon or Microsoft gets into the business, can compete with these companies. I mean, Alphabet is spending $50 billion on CapEx. They have been plowing money into quantum for years and years, maybe even more than a decade. Same with IBM. Do you really think one of these startup companies is going to hire a bunch of engineers that are better than the engineers at Alphabet and IBM, one? And then two, do you think that they're going to be able to raise enough capital to be able to compete with these companies? No. It's crazy talk. Now, I'm not saying there won't be companies that can't create software for it, because there absolutely could be, or services or any of that stuff. But we're just talking about quantum computing. There's only two companies that you should look at, my opinion.
Do you think some of those smaller names are acquisition targets at all?
It depends if you're acquiring for talent or if they happen to really do something smart and get a patent for something that a bigger company needs. Yes. Otherwise, there's nothing that these small companies can do that these big companies can't.
All right. So let's talk about NVIDIA. This thing went to 153 all-time highs. Now it's back down to 138.
Can I just tell you that I am so happy that I did not build a computer last year. I am so happy because now I'm going to build one of the 5000 series GPUs.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
I mean, look, there was a lot of announcements, obviously very cheap computers that NVIDIA is selling that are super powerful, robotics, autonomy stuff. What was your general takeaway from CES and where you think Jensen's taking the company?
Yeah, everything's super bullish. I mean, my time horizon for NVIDIA getting out of this, plowing as much CapEx as possible at all costs, may have to be extended now. As I've always said to you, I think that they have another year or two where the big tech companies are DEFCON 4 spending as much as they need to build everything out. There may be more runway on that before it becomes a cyclical business. So it's going to be really interesting. Is that NVIDIA is going to be diversifying into services, and maybe some way just keeps going. I mean, I think people are underestimating what Q4 is going to look like, and I think they're underestimating what the forward estimates are going to look like.
So you thought this party would kind of stop at the end of 2026. Do you think it continues till 2030?
It's too early for me to say that, but I am willing to extend my thought process out to 2027, 2028-ish, end of those years now, only because we may still be early in the infrastructure build. If we are really getting to mass-scale robots, and even though I don't necessarily believe in a mass-scale FSD and quantum computing, and just an overhaul in technology in general, to where not just those items that are in the press, but think about boring items like microwaves, refrigerators. Are all those going to be powered by AI? What's that going to be like? How much is this going to change? We may have a large-scale overhaul in technology.
Yeah, I mean, look, I streamed the CES keynote a couple of days ago, and although some parts of it were definitely really boring, at the end of it, you kind of get away with, well, okay, so NVIDIA to 10 trillion, like this thing's not.
Yeah, I mean, look, and we always say this. When there was not a single $1 trillion company, was always what companies can get to $1 trillion first. At the time, Cisco and Microsoft were both around $500 billion, and neither of them hit that mark with Apple. And Cisco has never gone back to where they were in 2000. And then it was who's going to get to $2 trillion first, and then who's going to get to $3 trillion first. Nobody thought these numbers were going to hit, and they all hit. So the fact that nobody thinks that these companies aren't going to get to $5 trillion at some point is crazy. Somebody's going to get there. And NVIDIA could be the one because they are legitimately on track to generate more profit than Apple next year.
I agree. It looks like they are not slowing down anytime soon.
They're not slowing down, especially with Blackwell. Think about this, okay? Their 5000 series chip, you're not going to be able to get that in the stores. Like, it's going to be hard to get those chips. And what do you have coming out in potentially less than a year from now? GTA 6. And guess what? That is going to be the biggest game.
Wait, what is GTA 6?
Grand Theft Auto 6.
I'm kidding. No one blame me in the chat. I knew what Grand Theft Auto is.
Not only is it going to be the biggest game for Xbox and PlayStation, it'll probably become the biggest game for PCs, and you'll probably see a huge upgrade cycle on PC components going into that.
So you think GTA 6 is a tailwind for NVIDIA?
I'm not saying it's necessarily a huge tailwind, but what I'm saying is there is a technology upgrade infrastructure. And look, the other thing with personal computing is,
Dude, that has to be a title for your next article in NVIDIA.
Windows 10 gets sunsetted in October 2025. I think it's October 17th. I don't know why I'm thinking that, but I think it's October 17th. But that means that anybody that has a Windows 10 machine is no longer getting access to updated security updates. No corporation will allow their companies to utilize a Windows 10 machine. And most likely, no individual, especially in this day and age with how crazy cybersecurity is and all the phishing attempts and all the identity theft is, nobody's going to be using Windows 10 anymore because there's no more patches. Everybody that is not already on Windows 11 is going to be upgrading their PCs over the next 9 months. And what happens when you upgrade PCs? A lot of them come with video cards. I think that you're going to get a big upgrade cycle on PCs because of that one factor. That's going to be more NVIDIA graphics cards. You're going to have NVIDIA graphics cards for gaming because of GTA 6 and whatever else comes out. And then you'll have probably a new generation of Xbox and PlayStation 6 that comes out next year, probably for GTA, I think. I don't know. Who knows? But there's a lot of tailwinds outside of just data centers. So FSD, robots, gaming, personal computing, right? This is a party that may not slow down for a while.
So I did play GTA when I was a kid on my PSP, PlayStation Portable. I played Vice City. That was the main one I played. Did you actually sit down and finish GTA 5 and those other games?
So I have played off and on GTA 5 online, and I have a actual control, like a PlayStation controller for my PC, and I play it on my 49-inch monitor, and it's great.
Do you think it says anything about society that we like to play games that kill and shoot and hurt people? Or,
I mean, that's been video games since the beginning of the 80s, or the middle of the 80s.
That is true.
So I don't know if that's a fair question because that's. But I mean, I'll play Madden, I'll play NBA. So I don't know.
Yeah, look, I think NVIDIA, a lot of tailwinds, GTA in and of itself, the fact that we need graphic upgrades on a lot of these GPUs and CPUs, and they announced an AI CPU.
And what about when NVIDIA chips end up being in TVs?
Why
would
they be in TVs?
Why wouldn't they?
I never thought about it.
At some point, you're going to need very specialized chips for further than 8K graphics. At some point, you're going to need some of this stuff. And if NVIDIA is able to do the best graphics and all these crazy things in the PC world, why wouldn't they tap into the TV market?
You know who needs to tap into the TV market? Your boy Apple. I don't know why they haven't actually.
Listen, let's go there because I would love to have that conversation. Tim Cook, if you're listening, go acquire Warner Brothers Discovery, go acquire Manchester United, go acquire MSG Corporation or whatever the ticker is for that. So you buy Man U, buy the Knicks, buy the Rangers, and buy all Warner Brothers and take all that off legacy TV and have a proprietary on Apple TV. Cost you 20 to 40 billion of freaking your buybacks for the year. I think shareholders will be fine with that. You're not tapping the debt markets to do it. And now people have a real decision to make, and you'll see a big boost in services.
Someone said your business plan is to buy everything for Apple.
Well, I'm sorry, but Apple spends 80 to 100 billion in capital buying back shares a year. They can spend 40 billion of that on buying assets and taking pieces off the table. When Amazon bought Lionsgate, they took a piece off the table.
Dude, why? Amazon's Lionsgate acquisition, the more I think about it, was stupid. Like, what do they get from that other than the James Bond stuff?
No, they got
what? Steve, they got what? What do they get?
They got a movie studio.
But what movies has Amazon made that anyone watches at all?
Listen, without remorse the numbers, they've made their own stuff. They probably ran their Prime TV shows that they make that's only on Prime through it. Apple buying Warner Brothers Discovery makes a lot of sense. Apple makes their own TV shows. You can now do it in Warner Brothers Studios. You now have the whole movie division. You have all these TV channels that they own. You can divest CNN and whatever else you don't want. You get the Food Network, you get Discovery, you get a lot of stuff in that.
Yeah, but I don't think a lot of people watch the Food Network Discovery.
I think you'd be surprised.
No, I'm saying, not saying there's no audience. I'm just saying I don't know how big of an audience you'd be.
All I'm saying is if Apple says they were going to give up on Apple TV, great. They're giving up on Apple TV. It doesn't matter. But they're not giving up on Apple TV. So now you're expecting people to purchase Apple TV over Netflix, over Prime, over Hulu, over Paramount, over these other things. You need differentiators. So if you're going to stand by this product, just spend the money and beef it up and make where you have to have it. I mean, it's not uncommon that people have 2 or 3 or 4 streaming services instead of legacy cable. Make it where Apple is in that conversation of a must-have.
Okay, so I want to get into your new article about SGov, but before I ask that question, I'm putting it in the chat so people can check it out. Dan Niles was on CNBC and he had 5 top ideas for 2025. The number 1 was cash. I want to ask you off the top of your head, because I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this. What are your top 5 ideas for 2025?
I have no idea. How about that?
Or top 2 ideas.
2025, no idea.
Well, I mean, you're definitely thinking of something, I would imagine. Like
well,
NVIDIA would be up there.
One of them I don't want to say because I haven't bought it yet. But I don't know. Obviously, I think Square is going to do well. Or Block, whatever the hell they're calling themselves. I'm a shareholder. And I didn't want to become a shareholder, but the numbers are just too enticing at this point that I ended up becoming a shareholder. So that's definitely something that I'm interested in that I think can do well and surprise people. I think NVIDIA is going to continue to do well. I think SoFi has the potential to do really well if they actually come out with some news on the RFP stage. I think it's going to be really good. But
all right, so Square, SoFi, and NVIDIA. That's kind of your
the big thing is the big just get bigger. Does anybody really think that Meta Platforms is going to get smaller or going to make less money? I mean, come on.
Okay, hold on. Let's talk about Meta because before we get to your article. So Zucks taps Dana White on the shoulder. What was your raw reaction to that?
Yeah, he's smart.
I thought it was genius, bro. Like, when I saw that happening, I didn't believe it. Someone in the chat said it. I was like, wait a second, there's no way. And then I see it, and I'm like, oh. So Zucks wants a front seat with Donnie, and he doesn't want Elon to have all the fun at Mar-a-Lago.
And what better way to get in there and have an inside track in? And if you can't do it personally, put one of his best friends on the board.
Yeah, because Trump's never going to like Zucks, but he loves Dana. And
they've been friends for 25 years.
Dude, it is such a smart chess move.
Have you ever actually looked into their relationship?
I mean, I've seen them on a TV together, but
no. But like, do you know why they're so tight?
No, I don't.
So when the UFC, and I apologize, I'm getting into an elevator, so you may lose me. Give me 15 seconds, and I'll be on the ground floor.
Cool.
Hold on.
Cool. Trump and Dana, I actually don't know much about their relationship, so I'm interested in that. Guys, NVIDIA's down 1%, and the reason right here is because of Biden pushing a further curb on AMD and NVIDIA AI exports in their chips. Is AMD down? Damn it, AMD's down another 1%. So AMD already took a bit of pain today and it's taking a little bit more in the after hours. But these headlines usually get faded after like a couple of days. They're not really big deals, but in the short term, they do create some volatility on these stocks. What kind of elevator was that? Yeah, that was a weird sound, dude. That was like an elevator from like the 1900s or something. Dude, I played Grand Theft Auto, I think when I was like 12 years old on my PlayStation Portable, but I never played San Andreas. I never played GTA 5, but I did play Vice City. And it was definitely fun playing Vice City. Okay, let me call him back. All right, you're good.
So when nobody wanted to host UFC events, and I mean nobody, this is back when people were still calling it human title. Trump hosted them at the Taj Mahal for 2 straight events, and he even showed up for the prelims and stayed for every match, from the prelims to the very last fight. And ever since then, he stayed in touch with Dana White. He would always congratulate him whenever something good happened. He would always, and this is when Trump's brand was much bigger than Dana White's brand.
So he gave them a venue at the hotel to host the fights
when nobody else would. Yeah, and he stayed in touch with Dana White. He would always send him stuff and congratulate him when big things happened for the UFC. And yeah, and he really helped. That's one of the things that really helped him. Without him doing it, who knows where the UFC would be? It's almost as big as the Stephen Bonner and Forrest Griffin fight for the first contract from UFC series. Like, without that fight, UFC would have went under.
So it makes sense why he's been loyal to Trump for the past 30 years, right?
Yeah, they've been loyal to each other, so they are really close friends.
Okay, so Zucks does that, and then Zucks has this whole we're not going to censor you anymore, community notes type of thing. Why do you think he's doing this? Is he trying to acquiesce to Trump?
I mean, look, I think it's pretty easy. I think he realizes that the vibe is changing. It's a different administration coming in, and it's a different narrative. It's just, there's a different school of thought, and I think this guy's a chameleon at the end of the day. And he's going to, look, you don't get to where he's gone to without being able to adapt in the face of adversity. You just don't.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the other thing that's important as well is that he knows that the Republican Party is going to be in the image of Trump over the next probably decade. And if Vance is up next, he's going to have the same thoughts about censorship that Trump does.
I agree.
He's got to adapt.
Yeah. Look, I agree. I think it's just one of those things where, who knows? We're going to see a lot of different things, and Trump's got a lot of people around him, from Sachs to Peter Thiel, everybody else. So he's a chameleon. That's all there is to it. If he means it, who knows? I mean, maybe he's just doing it because of the narrative. If the election went the other way, he probably wouldn't be doing this.
Well, I agree. I agree 100%.
I mean,
100%.
I'm just going to stick with, I think he's just doing what he has to do to get by, type of thing. Don't forget, Facebook is his baby. He's going to do anything he has to do to make it win.
Do you think there's an integration with Quest and UFC?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. No question about it.
Yeah, I think that's also part of the reason.
You know my whole narrative around this whole thing. Whether it's Vision Pro or Quest, at some point we're going to be using these things for live sporting events from our couch.
That might be the only use case, but maybe that's a good use case. I agree.
That's not the only use case, but it's a use case. Come on.
Dude, so far it has not materialized at all. VR
So far it has not materialized. You are 100% correct. But that doesn't mean it won't materialize in the future. There's a lot.
All right, so right now you have to decide Apple or Meta, who wins in the VR space. Don't say both. Don't say it's a big market. You got to pick one.
No, I mean, I will pick one, but I am going to say this is not a one ring to rule them all. There's going to be multiple winners.
Okay, hold on. Before you say your pick, in the chat, put who you think Steve's going to pick. I'm going to put a poll right now, so don't say it yet, Steve. Meta or Apple. I already know who I think you're going to pick. And
people should realize I'm a Meta shareholder for going on 14 years now, something like that, 13 years.
But you hold Apple and Meta. You own both of them. So
right, but I mean, I've been a Facebook shareholder since it IPO'd.
All right, so let me give 30 seconds. We'll get the polls in. 67% say you're going to pick Meta. 34% say you're going to pick Apple. Get your votes in. I think you're going to pick Apple. What's your answer?
My answer is Meta, and here's why. While I think it's going to be very close, and Apple would have been a fine answer, and I could have supported it anyway and given a bunch of reasons why. If I sit back and I think of what the most widespread use cases are up front, I think it's going to be gaming and sports. Apple is not making a deal with Microsoft for the Vision Pro to be hooked into Xbox. I believe that integration already exists with Quest, or they're in talks. So I think that you're going to get Xbox-powered Meta Quest games on the next system. And I think Zuckerberg is much more inclined to go the video game route than Tim Cook for this, as it's going to be a huge application. And I think it'll really be that in sports. I mean, look, Zuckerberg should just buy a sports team with all of his money. And I know you buy everything, but no, it's serious. Zuckerberg could buy these companies too and have it proprietary on the Quest system.
But I thought you would pick Apple because they have more distribution than Meta.
One thing has nothing to do with the other, though.
But you just said
I mean,
it's about
partnerships. It's not like you have to have an iPhone to use these products.
No, but the Apple brand as a consumer product has way more distribution.
It does not have more distribution. Absolutely not.
What are you talking about? Apple,
listen to me. More than a third of the global population uses Meta's platform.
No, they use Facebook. They don't own a Meta hardware
distribution.
device.
That's distribution.
No, but when I mean distribution, I'm talking about an audience that is willing to pay thousands of dollars for products. I have a
in that aspect, you're correct. You said distribution as a global word.
I don't think having users on Facebook in a random country.
No,
that's distribution.
Not being distributed to them.
Dude, we're talking about high disposable income people in North America that are going to be buying this thing.
Your original statement was distribution.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you.
You did not provide substance. You just said distribution.
I'm just questioning why you think billions of people would pick Meta over Apple, given they've already picked Apple over most of their products in the world.
There's one other product. It's Android.
That's fair. So do you think Apple becomes the Android of VR?
Maybe. I mean, look, this is not a high-end product. This is a $400 or $500 product from Meta. I think there's some versions that are $300. This is a middle-of-the-road price point. And if you don't need another system for this to be powered, it's going to depend. What can you do more with? And we saw that the Apple Vision Pro, nobody's using it for straight computing. Like, that obviously is not happening. So if that's not happening, do you really need the Apple ecosystem for this premise? The answer is no.
It's a good point.
So now, what do you need for this premise? Okay, so it's going to be more entertainment and that type of stuff. So when you think entertainment, you got to think Meta's a little bit ahead with Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm thinking Meta, because I think the first real use cases are going to be video games and entertainment. Now, if Apple really started beefing up Apple TV, it would be a much different story. And then I think the second iteration of this will be education. I think it'll be hands-on learning stuff, such as engineering. And I mean, the types of programs you could really do in a curriculum for surgeons and everything else in the classroom, chiropractors, physical therapists. I mean, there's a lot of stuff when you're not working on physical patients that this could transform education.
Okay, someone said we're counting out Amazon, and they showed Alexa glasses at CES. Are we counting out Amazon here?
I don't think you can count Amazon out from anything. It's just, are they able to compete at the same scale when they're so far behind?
I would personally count out Amazon. Amazon's not going to be in the VR space.
Amazon could spend whatever they want to spend and they can make it work. It's just, how far behind are they? What's it going to be? I think Meta and Apple are very far ahead. And I think Meta has a little bit of an advantage. Plus, Zuckerberg's got a chip on his shoulder. He's going to do everything he can to make sure he's not beheld to Tim Cook on this.
Also,
and he wants to own the ecosystem.
That Orion thing they showed off a couple months ago, right? With Jensen wearing those glasses. I mean, that seems pretty cool. It's 5 years away, but still.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of applications for this in the future. I think It's not going to happen overnight, but I will watch Yankee games. I will watch UFC events on those glasses. I remember about 7 or 8 years ago when this first came out, watching a boxing match and I didn't think it was crazy. And it wasn't even good resolution back then.
The one thing I do kind of disagree with is I think if you're in your home and you have a 60-inch TV, you're not going to put on glasses to watch a game. I don't think anyone.
You're right, because I have a 75-inch TV and I'm going to put on glasses.
See, I don't think you are. I think
100% up.
I think you're going to lay down, watch on a regular TV.
You're right. I'm going to lay down on my couch and instead of having my head tilted, it's going to be in a perfect position. And the view is going to be perfect to my eyes.
I don't believe people are going to do that, dude. I really don't.
Why?
Like, because who the fuck does that? Like, you watch TV, you don't put on glasses.
Do you wear glasses when you're reading?
Dude, I wear glasses to see because otherwise I'm blind.
Okay.
But like,
so you're putting glasses on for a use case.
No, I'm not saying there's not a use case. I'm saying if you have a 75-inch TV versus.
Do you use glasses to watch your TV?
Yes, because I can't see, bro.
Okay,
like,
so you're using glasses.
Steve, that is such a bad steel man of my argument. That's like a
It's
horrible
not.
steel
You
man.
use glasses to watch TV. What's the difference of you using glasses to watch TV or me using glasses to watch VR?
Because when I put my glasses on, because I'm nearsighted and I'm sitting 10 feet away from my TV, I can see a big screen and I can enjoy a movie. You're talking about putting something super close to your eyes, not saying it's unhealthy or anything, but the experience of staring at the sky and seeing the basketball game versus watching it on TV, I feel like TV's better.
We're going to have to wait and see.
I think there's going to be other use cases for the glasses you're talking about, but I don't think if people had a choice, they would pick the glasses over the 75-inch TV. I don't know.
I think some people will and some people won't. I think it's going to depend. Look, if you can, instead of, I'm one of those people, I would rather watch a sporting event from home than go to the stadium. And it's just, there's a lot of things about it. But there's also people that would much rather go to the stadium than be at home. But if you had a virtual reality setup, and let's just say that you can pick 4 angles. Let's say it's a basketball game. You can be behind the net on both sides, or the corner, or half court. If you can pick from any of those, I think people are going to do that rather than watching it on TV with just the continuous changing of the camera angles.
No, that's fair.
I think it's all preference. Don't think about it as being scary. Think about it as you're going to be able to have VR cameras everywhere, and you're going to be able to change your seat in the venue to where these different points are.
You know what I need, bro? I need something in the shower because, like, I want to listen to like a podcast in the shower, and like it would be nice to have.
You can do that today. Just freaking iPhones are waterproof.
No, they're not. iPhones are. That is no one listen to Steve because you're gonna take the iPhone into the shower and you're gonna lose your phone. They're absolutely not waterproof. That is incorrect.
Okay, so you can put it on the sink next to the shower like I do and have it playing. You can put speakers in. There's a lot of things you can do to listen to stuff in the shower.
But I want headphones that I could just put like my AirPods.
Well, now you're just getting greedy.
What do you mean I'm getting greedy for having AirPods in the shower?
You want headphones in the shower?
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Try to electrocute yourself.
You just said wait, so headphones will get electrocuted, but not an iPhone? And what are you talking about?
You can put an iPhone on the sink next to the shower. And
I tried that last night, but then the water, like the sound is.
What? You have a shower curtain, right?
No, I know, but the sound is like I can't hear the video properly. That's the problem. That's my point.
You should go get your ears checked. How about this? Get a little JBL Bluetooth speaker, okay? Get double-sided tape. Put it somewhere where the water doesn't hit in the shower. That way you have a speaker in the shower with you that does not get wet.
I actually do want this because like I get annoyed in the shower when I can't like I'm listening to something and I have to stop. Like so I'm gonna
you get a little $20 fix right there. You keep your phone on the sink, doesn't get wet. Bluetooth, you're good.
Why are you guys saying you can take my iPhone has got like there's been water in the speaker before and I've had to like make sure it does like you guys are saying you could take the iPhone in the shower. I don't think you can. I really don't think you can easily do that without the phone like having too much water into the system.
No, I think you should. I think you're going to need to do some research.
I think I will need to do some research. Okay, so let's
do some research.
Yo, everyone's saying they've used their iPhone in the shower. That's wild. I'm like scared to do that. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why you're scared.
Because it's gonna get wet and then like not work, and I don't want to buy a new phone. Like I feel like
Okay, well,
everyone's saying you can do this, and I did not know this could happen.
Yeah, I mean, I put it on the windowsill before I was taking a shower when I was listening to something. I put it on the sink while I'm listening to something. Either way works.
All right, I'm gonna get a speaker, and I'm gonna invest in putting a speaker.
Yeah, go get a $20 Bluetooth speaker with some double-sided. I'm serious. Why not?
All right, I guess I'm gonna have to do it. I guess I will.
But yeah, the biggest theme for this year, is the big get bigger. I don't think anybody's chipping away at the lead of Amazon. Look, cloud services. Anybody really messing, other than Alibaba overseas, anybody really messing with Alphabet, Amazon, or Microsoft? I mean, is anybody using freaking, I hate to say it, but IBM Cloud? Is anybody using freaking Cisco Cloud? I don't know. I don't know any companies that are that I know people at.
Look, I think you're right.
Think the big get bigger.
I think you're right, but the problem is everyone wants the 10% correction where it's time to get back in these like names and load up. And the market's not. Even today, we had a little bit of a dip, and then by the end of the day.
Can I just tell you something, please? This whole 10% get back in. What happened to the past 40%? You had 24.5% or something like that in 2023, 23.5% or so in 2024. You have 47%. So people want 10%. Where were you with all the 37% upside? Where were you? Like, I don't get it.
No, my thing is, I think even if people weren't in the names, if people were in the names, no one wants to buy Meta at like 630. You know what I mean?
But why? If it's going to 1,000, if Meta's going to go to 2.5 to 3 trillion in the future, what does it matter what price it is?
I mean, it's a fair long.
People need to start looking at percentages, not price. Like if something's going to go up by 100%, a double, does it matter if it's $100 or $10 a share? No. You're investing the same amount of money and your ROI is the same amount. You just have more shares of one thing than another. This whole thing about price does not matter. It's percentage.
Look, it's a fair point. I just think people really want a better opportunity on some of these names, and market's not giving it to them. Market's not giving it.
Who doesn't want a better opportunity? That doesn't mean it's going to come.
No, I agree.
And plus, is spending 600 instead of 650 or 550 instead of 600? I mean, how much difference does that really make in the grand scheme of things? If it's going to go to 1,000.
Yeah, look, that's fair. So instead of spending 60 on Palantir, 40 on Palantir, it's going to 500, right? So we're.
Yeah, I mean, what's the big difference? I mean, think about it. If people were worried about price with Palantir, that's a great example. People worried at 8, and that starts going up. People are worried at 10. What does it matter with what Palantir did if you bought it 10 or if you bought it 20? What does it matter?
No.
You still got a 4x. Oh, so you didn't get a 5x, you got a 4x? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I just think people need to stop worrying about price so much. I think a lot that really gets people hung up and it makes them not make decisions.
Steve, do you play chess at all?
I used to. I don't anymore. I got time.
But like you would know how to play if we had a game?
Yeah.
Okay, so you still know how to play chess.
Yeah, I mean, I know I wouldn't say I'm good. Like, how advanced people are today, I would not say that I'm good today or I would be able to go into a park and beat people or anything. I know how to do openers and defend on stuff. Like, I know how to play. But
do you keep up with like the Magnus Carlsens of the world and people like that?
Yeah, I mean, that stuff, I look at some of it. Some of this stuff is just crazy. I mean, like I watched the video of Peter Thiel playing everybody at the park during a PayPal retreat, and Sachs was so happy because he was the only one that beat Peter Thiel and freaking. But he guy played like 10 games and just going down the line. That stuff's crazy when you think about it. It's crazy.
Right, it's absolutely crazy, dude.
It's crazy.
It's pretty wild. Okay, so
I would much rather play Jim Rummy with you.
Okay, so this article you put out today, you are getting out of SGov and you're getting into TLT. What's the logic on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's time. SGov was a short-term proxy for cash. It doesn't really fluctuate much on the share price because it's 0 to 3 month bonds. So there's really no fluctuation. And it has an 11-day average of when the bonds are turning. So it's highly liquid. The real fluctuation is just when it pays the monthly dividend when it doesn't. So very high liquid. It was turning over 5%. But with how much the Fed has cut rates, this 5.1% yield that it had, this is going to go to 4.5 or 4.25 in the next couple of months, if not sooner, in my opinion. And I just don't think that there's the opportunity that there was for the dividend yields. And if this was only for the dividend yield, I'd rather put the money somewhere else. And now I think we're at the point where TLT, which is the 20-year plus for my shares, is a really good risk reward, because I think that the discounted debt in its portfolio is going to appreciate as rates come down, because you have an inverse reaction where basically what's happening is the debt, when it's issued, has yield X. As interest rates go up, new debt is issued at a higher rate. So those X bonds have to decline in values. Nobody's going to pay $100 for 3% when they can pay $100 for 5%.
Right.
So they trade at a discount. When the inverse happens and rates start to come down, people start flocking to that higher yielding debt, because inverse happens. Why pay the higher price for lower yielding debt when you can get other debt on sale? So I think you're going to have a situation where the 20 and 30-year bonds appreciate because they're trading at a discount right now. And I just think TLT is in an interesting position. It traded for like, what was 179 was the high 2 years ago or so. I think you can get back to 110, 125. And when you think about it starting to add newer bonds over the past couple of years, a higher debt, it's interesting.
Well,
so this is more a play for capital appreciation for an investment while yielding around 4.2% instead of the cash that I was turning over.
I agree with you. It's either that the 10-year gets to 5% and TLT is crushed, or this yield finally comes down and TLT gets closer to $100. I agree. It's just gonna be a question of if that happens soon or if that takes months and months to be able to play out.
Oh, it's a 2-year horizon for me. This isn't a 3-month play. Like, a lot's dependent on the Fed. You need the Fed right now. You need the Fed to get rates to 3.5 to 3%. And I think the Fed is bluffing right now, and I don't think there's any way. And I was I was probably the most conservative out of everybody you talked to last year about rate cuts, when I kept saying, don't expect 6 cuts. It's never going to happen. I think I was one of the only people saying that. But this year, I'm in the other camp where I don't think there's any way they're going to cut 2 times, because the only way that you're going to get inflation down at this point is to bring rents down. The only way you bring rents down is by getting the interest rate down, because you got to bring refinance mortgages down for them to lower their nut. That's the only way you're getting rents down. Only way.
Mortgage rates next week are going probably above 7% if the 10-year stays here, too. So.
Yeah, and the only way the 10-year goes down is if the Fed continues to cut rates. The 10-year is not going down if the Fed just holds rates where they are. It's not going down. There's no reason for it to. And the other thing people have to remember, the whole idea of, well, this is a normal rate if you go back to 1980 or even 1990, you're right, but its context is taken out of context. It has no relevance, because you've been in a period since 2012 or 2013 where you have almost a zero debt to 2% debt rate on the Fed fund rate. You're having low mortgage rates, or lower, and then COVID happens. You get golden handles, because now you're at 3.5%. Nobody is getting out of the 3 or 3.5 mortgage. What the hell is this person beeping at? Like, I don't know. I want a freaking bridge. I don't know what the hell this person beeping at. Like,
see, if you had a Tesla, you would have FSD. You don't have to worry about this right now.
I really could. What the fuck is this person beeping at? Like, we're on a bridge. Like, I don't fucking know. But the Fed is going to have to cut rates.
Wait, where are you going? Are you going to like a dinner or something?
No, I'm going home.
Oh, you're on the way home from work.
But I mean, the Fed has to cut rates because if they don't, there's no reason for anybody that's in a 3 or 3.5 mortgage to get a mortgage to refinance or sell their home and move unless they're moving for their job. Like there's no reason for that. And when you look at, and I put in that article, I believe, the Fed funds rate versus the 10-year or the 30-year, and you look at the correlation between the two, you have to get rates down to 3% for there to be any movement in the housing market.
Dude, we're paying $1 trillion of interest. These rates are coming down.
Well, that's a whole nother issue. You want to go there, that's fine. Yeah, we were paying $700 and $800 billion, and now we're cost over $1 trillion because we keep issuing debt at these high levels. We're paying more in interest on the debt than what we are spending on the defense budget. Like, it is crazy. It's crazy.
No, it is absolutely insanity. And I think J-Powell knows
everybody
that.
wants to know where their tax dollars go to. Look at the budget.
It's going to paying off the debt. Now,
you know, you ever go to the usdebtclock.org? It is the most disgusting and depressing thing.
Oh no, I'll go to it right now. It's like 36
trillion.
trillion.
Oh my God. It's the real-time count. It's so depressing.
We are currently at 36.3 trillion in debt.
Crazy number.
Debt per citizen, 106,000. Debt per taxpayer, 323,000. The government gets about 4.9 trillion in revenue. This is actually kind of cool. So corporations pay 548 billion. Income tax, 2.5 trillion. Wow, payroll tax is 1.6 trillion.
You've never been to this site?
No, I've never really explored it. I knew it existed, but I never really went into it. What's an excise tax? What's that? I don't know what that is.
You'd have to look it up. I think I know what it is, but I'm not 100%.
We only make 73 billion from tariffs. So Trump wants that to go to like $1 trillion or something. And then corporations pay $500 billion. Our GDP is at 29.5 trillion. Yeah, we definitely need to lower these rates. There's 112 million people that pay taxes out of the 339 million people in the United States.
Look, you don't even have to lower the number of 36 trillion in debt. If you get rates down to 3 or even 2.5%, and you are able to find buyers for those bills, you can basically refinance your debt for free. You just issue more debt, pay off the old debt with the higher yields, and you still have the same amount of debt. You're just paying less interest. Same thing corporations do.
Steve, in this day, in 1980, we only had $856 billion of debt.
Well, maybe we shouldn't be in forever wars.
It's pretty wild. All right, so we're going to end it on this topic that I wanted to talk about because you mentioned it earlier in the show, and we did this like 8 months ago, so it's been a while, so I think it'll be fun. Here's the sort of segment. And think about this before you say it, because you already said one of them, so I want you to think about it again. What is your best hypothetical acquisition in 2025 between two public companies?
Oh, that's interesting.
So don't say Apple and Warner Brothers because you already said that. So
but that's not hypothetical. You said hypothetical.
Yeah, I mean, you can be a little bit more extreme with it. So everyone in the chat, what do you guys think? What is your best acquisition that would kind of be plausible? Don't go crazy like Apple buying, I don't know, Disney or so. Well, that's not that crazy, but I feel like that's kind of crazy. But nonetheless, don't be insane with it, like Nvidia buys AMD or something, because that's not happening. But what do you think could be a real acquisition?
So I don't know if I can pinpoint on just one idea, but I have a couple of things I think may happen.
Okay. And then I'm going to read to you what the chat says as well. We'll get your thoughts.
Qualcomm buys Intel.
Okay.
I think that is a strong possibility. I think you could see the potential for consolidation in the oil industry. And I'm not talking smaller companies. I mean, like, potentially an Exxon or a Chevron acquiring, like, Occidental Petroleum or something.
So a big consolidation, essentially.
Yeah, I think you could see a consolidation. I mean, we already saw a Chevron buy Hess, and there's been some other ones, so I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happens. And on the smaller front, somebody acquire a Devon Energy or something. So I think that could happen. I wouldn't be surprised if you see regional banks, some of them consolidate.
Yeah, me either.
I think that's plausible, but I'm not sure which ones. I'd have to look at which ones stacked up in regions that were close to each other. But that would be pretty interesting. But
Okay.
I got two that I think would be very cool. I just don't think they're going to happen.
Okay.
Alphabet buys IBM. I've been saying that for a while. And I don't know who acquires who, but you get freaking Robert and SoFi to merge.
Ew, no. Ew. Horrible. Not good. No.
I said that just to make you mad.
Yeah, no. No. Robin, that idea has always been so bad to me. But the Apple or the Google IBM one, I don't think it's crazy. I don't think regulators would allow it, but I don't think that's crazy.
I mean, I don't know what anybody lose. IBM doesn't make anything that the consumer public uses. So you can't use the argument that it hurts consumers.
No, you can't. You can't do that.
So I think IBM's it was way more interesting at 130 a share than it is at 220 a share on acquisition. But it's still only a couple hundred million in market cap, a couple $100 billion in market cap. So it's very interesting with all their patents, quantum and AI. It's a perfect bolt-on acquisition for Alphabet.
All right, so we're gonna end it off with let me yay or nay on what the chat says. All right, so here's some ideas. Number one, the United States buys Greenland.
I mean, I'd rather see Canada happen.
You'd rather see Canada happen? Okay.
Yeah, natural resources, pipelines. I mean, I think it would be very strong for both countries. There's a lot of synergy there.
Okay, NVIDIA buys SMCI.
I mean, I can see that happening.
Okay. Lockheed Martin buys Boeing.
I don't think that happens. Why would anybody want to buy Boeing?
Okay. Amazon buys...
No, but seriously, Boeing's got so many problems. Doesn't it just feel like it's just one thing after another with Boeing?
Oh, 100%. And they're both defense contractors. I don't know if the merging of that would be as beneficial.
Right.
Amazon buys Lyft.
I don't know. Maybe.
Starbucks buys Krispy Kreme donuts. I actually like that.
I actually don't hate that.
I don't hate that at all, dude. It's another avenue of growth for Starbucks.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I mean, both products. I mean,
Krispy Kreme has a dude. It's a $1.5 billion company. It's nothing.
Does it make money?
They have a PE. They do make money.
Interesting.
I don't hate that. I think that's not horrible for the brand alone. I think that's not crazy. Uber buys Lyft, and then Tesla buys Uber.
Don't hate it. I think that could happen. But at the same time, why would it? I mean, you got to think that Elon can just make his own software for his cars.
Okay. Another one is Amit buys a girlfriend. All right, we're gonna move on from that. Meta buys Unity.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe. They have the Unreal Engine?
Yeah.
I mean, do they buy them, or does Microsoft buy them because they bought Activision Blizzard? I mean, I don't know.
Okay, Netflix buys Roblox.
Can I just tell you the amount of money that I've spent on Roblox? My nephew is crazy.
Kids, dude, they use this thing like crazy.
Amazing. I don't know how that company doesn't make more money than it does.
Well, the stock took off at the end of the year, so it started to.
Did it?
Yeah, I think it was up 30%. So it's been better.
Yeah, I mean, the younger generation loves that freaking thing.
Palantir buys.
No, you can always stop now.
What do you think I'm going to say?
Snowflake?
No, I think you'll agree with this. Palantir buys Anduril.
Yeah, I would kind of love that, actually.
Yeah, I would love that too. I could see that happening.
Like, how awesome would that be if Palmer Luckey was worth my car?
Yeah, but see, Palmer Luckey's an alpha. He's not going to sell, so that's not happening. But it would be cool. Buffett buys SoFi, takes a stake in SoFi.
No.
You don't think that could happen?
I mean, maybe you. I mean, boy, Ally. I mean, but you don't know if it was him or someone else. But I mean, they own Ally Bank, right?
Yeah.
So.
Are you getting pulled over? You're good.
Knows, man, knows.
Nvidia buys AMD. I mean,
No, never happened.
That's probably never happening. Buffett buys GameStop.
No.
Okay. Meta buys Snapchat.
I don't think that there's a need for that.
I don't think so either. There's no need, right? They've been executing without needing Snapchat. PayPal buys SoFi.
I could see that happening, but who knows?
PayPal would become a bank at that point. That would be.
Yeah.
I'm actually liking PayPal more here. I know you don't have it anymore, but I'm liking it more in this. I feel like it's safe in the next couple of years.
You didn't like it at 58. Why do you like it now?
Because I was YOLOing hood options. Now,
yeah, but just because you're doing that doesn't mean you can't like it.
No, I didn't have cash, bro. Like now, I'm like, all right, PayPal seems kind of safe over the next couple of years.
It's not nearly as undervalued as it was.
That's correct. You're right. What about Buffett? Well, did Buffett? No, he doesn't have a Buffett buying Nike, stake in Nike.
Maybe, who knows? It seems like a company would buy.
Walmart buying Lululemon.
No, I doubt it.
Amazon buys Walgreens.
I
don't hate that. They would get it for cheap.
They would buy it for the infrastructure play.
They would pay
same way, yeah.
Dude, that's better than freaking MGM Studios. Like, I think that's better.
Maybe.
That's way better. Just for the pharmacy alone, I think it's better. Nvidia buys Intel.
No, I don't think they'll let that. Yeah, I don't know if they'll let that happen. I mean, I still think Qualcomm is going to be the best fit because Qualcomm is not a competitor right now. Because think about it, they do not make anything with a computer. They are doing everything for tablets and smartphones. So they don't have a GPU business. They don't have a CPU business. I don't think you can really consider Snapdragon because they have like very limited computers on that. So NVIDIA, they're not going to let them get Intel and control not just the GPU market, the CPU market. I can't see that.
Pepsi buys Celsius.
They already own, what, 20%?
Yeah, I feel like that could happen. It could definitely happen. Probably won't.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Yeah, it could.
All right, last couple ones. Oh, this is interesting. Amazon buys PayPal. That would be amazing.
They should buy PayPal. They should buy PayPal last year is what they should have done.
Oh my God, dude, that would be crazy bullish on Amazon.
Yeah.
That would be wild. Amazon buys Hims.
Sure, why not?
Amazon buys Instacart.
That would make a lot of sense.
With Whole Foods, that's perfect.
Yeah, and the other stuff that gets sold on their website, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, you could just Instacart anything. Google buys GitLab.
I don't know what that is.
GitLab's another SaaS company. Google had a stake in them for a while, and we thought they were going to acquire them 2 years ago, but never ended up happening. Okay, last one. I'm looking for one last one, guys. I need the best one to ask Steve.
MicroStrategy buys Bitcoin.
Well, he did already on Monday. He did.
MicroStrategy buys Coinbase.
There's no way that would happen. Coinbase is a good business. Bitcoin? Coinbase is not bad. But I don't know if MSTR would buy them. I'm trying to find one good one to give you, Steve. Last one. Amit merges with Grindr. That's not a real one. Oh, this is a good one. All right, this is the unofficial last one. Steve buys Seeking Alpha. Dude, what if you just fucking take over the website and you're running that shit and you're pumping your articles on the front page? Like, that'd be fun. You would get rid of the authoritarian regime stopping the fun titles. You would like it would be like Elon buying Twitter. It would literally be like, dude, you would open up the floodgates to being able to say whatever the fuck we want on Seeking Alpha. Steve's not going to comment because he gets paid too much from Seeking Alpha. He's compromised. You're compromised on this. You can't talk about it. See, he's still not saying anything. This proves he's compromised. Okay, last one. I think this is the best one we have. DoorDash buys Lyft.
I don't know. I mean, those businesses are so hard. I don't know.
Okay, the actual last one is
I mean, unless you're an early investor in one of those businesses, why would you invest in those companies?
okay. So the actual last one, you have to pick between two. Either Steve buys Pokemon cards or a Rolex. Which one?
I think there's a better shot at the first one because I've been trying to get a particular watch for years and years now. I keep being told that I'm the next person to get called, and that phone call never comes. So.
Yeah, I never got into watches, but I agree with you. Rolexes can be good investments.
Don't, it's addicting.
Yeah, I've really never cared about it ever. So, all right, that's it. Steve, thank you for being on. We all love you, appreciate you. This is Steve's Twitter and Seeking Alpha putting you in the chat, and we will talk soon. Markets are closed tomorrow. So
yeah, I did not know that until somebody told me that earlier. I had no idea.
Yeah. Oh, one last quick one for you. Meta buys Luxor Exotica.
I don't even know what that is.
Okay, so Thomas, you were wrong. Thomas says Steve will like this one. I think they're the ones who are in charge of Supreme, the clothing brand, or whatever. They've worked with them in the past, so it might be one of those.
All I can tell you is that whole, you want to go down a rabbit hole of things that people pay way too much money for. When I saw how much money people pay for those T-shirts, I don't understand it.
I don't understand it either. $500 for a T-shirt? I don't get it.
I do not sometimes the secondary market makes no sense for some of these things.
Yeah.
I got one. When is a mid-story alternative asset weekly?
Dude, I'm down. Start a YouTube channel. Let's start alternative asset. We should do it on a Nostalgianomics channel, dude. That would be.
So I had a very interesting conversation with him the other day. Very interesting. The Pokemon market is so crazy. That's all I have to say.
I mean, look, he's doing well on YouTube. He's growing like crazy. So it means that the TAM is up there for Pokemon. That's for sure.
Did you see one of his last ripping ships was 6.5 hours long?
Dude,
6.5 hours.
People care about Pokemon. I mean, like even that day I did the podcast on his channel, I realized like there's a really big community for this. People care.
The community, the market is so big for it. Like it is incredible. It's incredible how big the market is for it.
Yeah.
I really can't believe it.
Oh, Luxor is Ray-Bans. Meta buying out Ray-Bans? That's a good idea, right?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's not horrible.
We need to figure out if Fanatics is going to go public or not.
Dude, I love Michael Rubin. I think.
So do I.
I think that would be a dope thing.
And they own Tops, and I would love to be a shareholder in that company.
All right, Steve. Thank you.
Are you going to start buying boxes or not?
A Pokemon?
Yeah.
No, dude. I just wired 25 grand to a startup, so I'm out. I don't have any money.
Another one?
Yep. Derek's startup. Christ. Which ironically, Derek knows Michael Rubin very well. They go back in time, and I think there's a world where Fanatics will become a client of his startup. It's like a B2B e-commerce play.
Nice.
So I don't have any money for Pokemon. Now, granted, if you show me a couple boxes that are actually buys, you have to send me because I don't know which ones to buy. You have to send it to me, and then I'll buy it based on whatever you send. But I don't know how to buy these boxes.
Okay.
Or which ones to buy.
You walk into a store and you buy them.
No, and it's not just you walk into a store and you buy them. Like what box? Do you just
well, I mean, you said you don't know how to buy them. I just told you how to buy them. You walk into a store and you buy them.
See, this is why people love you and they hate you at the same time. You find a way how to do it. You find a way every time.
Yes.
All right, Steve. Enjoy your night. We appreciate you. It feels like a long weekend because tomorrow's off, but it's not off for you. It's like, but the market's
No, I'll
closed.
be in the office. I got a packed day tomorrow.
You know.
Make sure you don't miss the next meeting, by the way.
Yo,
I
Steve.
put them on your calendar.
Steve has started scheduling Zoom meetings to discuss equities. To really, because we're trying to find the next winner. We're trying to really find the next winner. So whatever we find, we will let you guys know for sure. All right, Steve. Thank you. Talk to you later. Later. All right, folks. That's it for me. I have no idea what stream we're going to do tomorrow. I want to do some type of stream, but I have no idea what the stream should be. But I feel like we need to do something tomorrow, even if the market's closed. So we got to figure it out. We need to do more of the M&A idea rapid fires. Yeah, that's a good segment, right? I think we should do it more often. We should do it more often. It's a really good segment. And it flexes your creative muscles on like how you think certain companies could work with other companies. So I like it. By the way, did you guys know over 1,000 stocks today were down 5%? This was at 1 p.m. 1,000 stocks were down 5%. So there was some dips here and there, but again, there wasn't any crazy dips outside of the quantum names today throughout the market. All right, I think that's it. Yeah, I want to go live. What should we do the stream about tomorrow? What do you guys think? What should we talk about? And when? What should we do? Like, should it be like a lunchtime stream or something? Or the thing is, bro, if we don't do it early in the day, I don't think it's not going to be fun at the end of the day. Like, it's got to be something during the day. If it's during the end of the day, I feel like it's got to be like an actual podcast with some guests. Like, I don't know. We got to figure out. If not, FSD live stream. Dude, the problem is I have to do this through my phone. I'm about to go try it out again because I just got the V13 today. But I don't really know how to stream through my phone as well, and the internet might not be the best. Dude, that means I get to kind of sleep in tomorrow, bro. I don't usually get to sleep in on a Thursday. I might be able to wake up at like 9:20 tomorrow versus 7:20. Maybe that. You know what movie I want to watch The Big Short again. I want to watch The Big Short again. I want to watch that again tonight. I've seen that movie. It was a while ago, but I haven't seen that movie in a while. I want to watch that again. That would be a fun one to watch. The Canadian stock market is open, bro. What stock in Canada? Like, do people even pay attention to the Canadian stock? I don't even mean that disrespectful. But does anyone actually like track Canadians? Does anyone invest in Canadian? TSX, Toronto Stock Exchange. Dude, outside of Shopify, I don't know what's in Canada. Your life is the Big Short, big ego, short body. Okay, that is kind of funny, but also not funny. Tim Hortons, is that a public stock? Is Tim Hortons a public company? Oh, shit, it is. It went public in 2006 at $23. Okay, so what's their stock price today? $99. This thing is kind of sucked over the, 99 is more than 23, but still, it's been a while. Or am I being too harsh on Tim Hortons? Wow, that is public, huh? Tim Hortons is public. Canadians don't even pay attention to the TSX. Dude, Tim Hortons. THI. That's this thing. Look at this thing. THI. Right here. 99 Canadian currency for THI. I know a Canadian named Tim Horton. All right, guys. That's it. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll figure out what to do. We'll do some stream. I have no idea what the stream will be. We'll figure it out. And we'll keep going from there. All right. Thank you, everybody. Love you guys. I will see you guys tomorrow on something, not the market open, not the market close. We'll figure out what we do tomorrow, but we'll do some type of stream. All right, everyone. Have a good one. See you guys tomorrow. Bye, everybody.